Oh, well, tell me when you want to come on the show. Yeah, when
This
you're ready to come
episode
on
of Capes and Lunatics is brought to you by Tweaked Audio. To get awesome headphones, go to tweakedaudio.com and use the coupon code Southgate to get 30% off, free shipping, and a lifetime warranty. Or you can get there through the link on our website, southgategroup.com.
Recording has started. There's a thin line between heroism and madness.
Here the line fades to nothing at all.
This is a world of Capes and Lunatics.
And nothing is off limits.
Today we're talking Venom. Oh, look at those excited faces. All right, let's get into it. It's about to hit the fan. Capes and Lunatics starts right now. Hello! Welcome to the Capes and Lunatics, episode 73. It's right, Venom. We are Venom.
Boo! We're
Venom.
on Venom when it should be Big Bang Theory. Boo!
I am Phil when that enthusiastic drunk is. No,
Charlie the Professor.
Drunk yet.
I know Charlie.
You're
I confused you there. I know.
Were you talking about me?
And our guest drunk
Marnell from Fighters.
with the wine glass in front of her head. Is that one bottle or more than one? In that glass?
This is a Magnum bottle.
No, you say, I refuse to answer that question on grounds that it might incriminate me.
Well,
Honestly, officer, I only had the one.
I think she's running for the Supreme Court or something one day.
I like wine, not beer. Well, I like beer too.
Well,
and hard alcohol.
Well, you boffed that whole glass down, all right?
I think it's boofed, but ew.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Start.
so
The apple juice.
so Sony put out a Venom picture.
Okay.
With no Spider-Man.
First thing. 11 years. We've been waiting for this. This movie has been developmental hell, and this is all that we got.
Well, that's what it seemed like. It seemed like a movie from 11 years ago. If not
Because it
further.
was. I don't think they tweaked that script at all, to be honest.
So I'm thinking that you didn't like it, Lilith?
I think that my Facebook statement of I'm going to see this turd of a movie does it all. Although, turd is being the censored version because this Southgate Media Group podcast network is family friendly.
But she didn't say turd.
The poop emoji.
Hey, Marnell, she didn't say turd. She went for the whole enchilada.
Oh, wait, we can't swear on this still? Or do you bleep it out, Phil?
Hey guys.
Hey,
Tyler.
Hey!
Yeah, I was
it's a party.
I was on my way. I just got held up and do some yard work.
Well, we just started. Lilith was pooping on Venom, so.
Rightly so.
Well,
I'm just saying.
So I was okay with it because I had such low expectations from all of the reviews that I had read.
And they met them all.
Actually, I thought it was funnier than I expected. Like, is Venom
Unintentionally funny or funny?
funny? Like is Venom that sassy in the comics?
No, he's kind of somebody's slow brother, honestly.
Girlfriend, I'll bite your head off.
Yeah, the Venom was definitely a new take on Venom.
Yeah, well,
Venom.
I mean, it depends on. I went and saw Venom Thursday night with a good friend of mine who is the biggest Venom fan I've ever known, and
He took your son, Charlie?
I took my.
And what we talked about was basically it being more of an amalgamized Venom from the comics, the Ultimate Universe, and different takes. And my thing was, I enjoyed the movie because I had no expectations, or no stakes in the character. Like honestly, I could care less about Venom, and so. The biggest criticism I've heard about it that I agree with is that it feels more like a early 2000s superhero movie.
Yep.
Yeah, Lilith pointed that out. The
Yeah,
script
well-
hasn't changed.
Here's what I'll say about it. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say, good or bad. I mean, that's what it boils down to. And I didn't hate it. I thought it was good enough. And I mean, I could take a sequel to it. I wouldn't care either way.
I think the sequel. The best scene is my favorite scene. Who doesn't love Woody Harrelson in a bad red wig?
Oh my
that
god!
Cletus!
Was anybody else waiting for Woody Harrelson to point at the camera and go, "Hey, you've been kicked in the nut"? Like, that was what I was waiting for.
Yeah.
I hated the Little Orphan Annie wig.
I love it because it's Venom and it's a messy movie. Like, it was an afterthought. They're like, oh crap, just in case this does well. Throw Woody Harrelson in a wig. They'll love it.
I don't know. I mean, it seems like the two most positive people on this are Marnell and Tyler, who are probably the least biggest readers of Marvel. Yeah.
Exactly, because I'm not coming into it like really like, oh my gosh, what did you do to my character or my story?
Yeah.
I'm like, did I have a good time?
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I know enough about Venom, but at the same time, it was funny is it's not a Marvel Studios film, but it still fell into the same. It still fell into the same tropes of the first villain is just like the hero.
Well, yeah. But
that's really the point of Venom, though, kind of, sort of.
No, but you kind of have to do that. You kind of have to do that because his first enemy was Spider-Man, and you had no Spider-Man.
Right. I mean, it works. And did you guys? Anybody read the theory of how Carnage comes to be?
No.
The biggest thing I've heard was because Venom and Riot bonded, part of Riot is still alive in Venom. So later something's going to happen and it's going to emerge. And it's going to be part Riot, part Venom, and that's what becomes Carnage.
That's not how asexual reproduction works, but we'll go with it.
Yeah. Well, that was the comic. They got separated, so the suit comes to break Eddie out of prison. Meanwhile, he was in a cell with Cletus Cassidy, and the suit just drops a baby right there and doesn't say anything.
Got so hot and moist and bothered by a serial killer, Cletus Cassidy. Oh yeah.
Okay.
More, she's drunk.
Okay, can I? Yeah. Let me just say this, because this is my biggest thing about this film. You know, as I've always said, you know, I grew up on 70s Marvel. I can like a film that takes its liberties. I have no problem with that. My biggest problem is that you don't run a scientific study by just randomly introducing people. You know, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, oh, it has to be specifically pair bonded to these other creatures. You know,
when you do an organ transplant, it has to be a match. They figured that out. So you'd think they'd figure out how to match the symbiote to a human before they put it in the human.
Exactly.
He's a billionaire. He's up to bad things. He doesn't care. That's the point.
Well, I think they had.
The writer didn't care.
The
villain should have cared.
I mean, it was a messy movie, but I think they had to go overboard with the villain because when the quote-unquote hero is biting people's heads off, you have to make his opponent, the bad guy, extra evil. So it's just like, oh, let's throw some poor people in the blender and see what comes out.
Yeah, you know.
In America, we do have a history of doing something similar, so, you know, whatever.
Oh, yeah. What I will say is Venom was way too talky. Because, you know...
Bendis wrote this, right?
I don't think Venom talked enough. I agree. Venom.
I think that was the selling point of this film was Tom Hardy talking to Tom Hardy, and we did not get enough Tom Hardy talking with Tom.
No, you're not joining. You're goofing off and distracting.
Oh yeah, I mean, they wanted him to be so many things too. That's the other thing. You know, there's no Spider-Man, so they kind of want him to be Spider-Man. Tristan.
Yeah, Saxon Gamer 13 has deigned to join us.
Follow him on YouTube.
No.
What? Oh, what? Why are you mad?
Not like it when you call me that.
Oh, well, that's your handle.
Yeah.
Okay. Tristan Esser is here to give his thoughts on Venom. What do you think, Tristan?
I thought it was pretty good, but it was a pretty short movie. Usually movies take like 3 refills of popcorn. but this movie, it took 1.5 refill.
Yeah, we didn't get to finish the second refill, but really, usually we have an extra person there eating popcorn with us too. So,
Hey guys, I will be right back.
Okay.
The mower just died in the middle of the field, and she gets stranded in our 4 acres of.
Why my wife cutting the grass? I gotta help her.
Yep, that's what I'm doing.
Oh boy!
All right, be back. Bye.
But Tristan, what did you say about the names?
I was saying that none of them literally have names, but and the humans named them all these names. And also, one thing I noticed is that all the symbiotes, they added more stuff than it's supposed to, because usually when a symbiote leaves you, it doesn't kill you, because the Venom symbiote left Eddie Brock and went to other hosts and then left them, and they didn't die.
Yeah, I do agree with Tristan on this. That I think them making the symbiotes so and inconsistently so. That's the thing that's like the weirdest thing about it. Because like Riot, okay, because that's a name a non-verbal alien race would name themselves. Riot just jumps like 3 different people, and clearly has no problem. Once you take, it's like you don't see any kind of rejection issues with any of the people that Riot takes over. Oh, including John Jameson.
I caught that. Yeah,
I caught that. Yeah, that was a pretty lousy way to end the Jameson saga.
Yeah,
and then not even to bring in J. Jonah when you kill John. I mean,
well, that's the sequel. This Venom's a menace. Yeah,
Venom is a menace, I think.
So I have an answer for you on the language and the whole "it doesn't always kill its host." Okay, so the language, Venom or Riot, one of them said, "You didn't find us, we found you." And so I kind of think maybe they were looking for a race that they could inhabit and take over the planet. So they may have been studying us for a while. And the whole "it doesn't always kill its host." I think there is a rejection factor, like organs. It may take some time, but even if they are compatible with their hosts, they have to consume phenolphthalein, which is what's in human brains, and chocolate,
and lobsters.
Yep. And so they have to consume that, or they start consuming the host itself. Yes, you in the back.
So basically, if you just didn't care about your host, you could just eat their brain and run it right through.
Yeah, I mean, at the end, Venom was threatening to eat his liver, so...
Yes.
Let me speak.
Okay, what do you want to say, Tristan?
Saying I had a brain fart. I forgot what.
Okay. Well, what do you think of it? Let us know. Cassie, yeah?
That was my answer for the language and the whole "it doesn't always kill its host" thing.
That's right.
No, those
I got it.
Okay, what is it, Tristan?
When you said that it has to feast on organs, actually in the comics, Venom switches to chocolate because for some reason chocolate and brains have the same nutrition a symbiote needs.
Yeah, she was actually mentioning that.
I think it's called phenolphthalein, if I'm remembering right. Yes, you're right. Human brains and chocolate have the same stuff, and actually chocolate has more of it, so he just eats heads for fun at this point.
Yeah. Well, and that was actually, I mean, to me, that's like the biggest thing is this Venom eating people, which is like a very recent thing. Like, Venom didn't eat people for most of his history. It wasn't until Scorpion. Yeah.
Yeah, he used to just threaten it back in the day. He'd tell Spider-Man, "I'm going to eat your brain" or something. Yeah.
Yeah, but we have no record of him ever actually eating anyone until Scorpion does it. And not for nothing. Sometimes I wonder how much of that was just Scorpion.
Probably 80% Scorpion.
Yeah,
and 90% Venom.
Yeah, because we don't see that in other iterations of Venom since then. Like when he is the Venom hero, when he's being an Agent Venom, he's not eating brains. We never saw Flash Thompson want to eat somebody's brain.
Actually, Dad, I think Eddie wants to eat people's brains.
It's entirely possible.
No, because when Eddie fought other Agent Venom and he was Toxin, he ate someone. He ate a robot, which was technically had a person. Those weird droids that eat puppies.
Oh, okay. Yes, and then of course we have Venom and the doggy. That was cute.
I'm a dog.
And I will say the best part of this film was definitely the end credit scene of Into the Spider-Verse.
I didn't
Did you? Look at Lilith's face. Did you stick around for that, Lilith?
I did. And I was just like, I don't know why I did, because I just saw the commercial for it before we started the movie. I don't need to be reminded of these things.
I didn't like it. It would have been better if they were showing him that he was going to be in Infinity War. That would have been a way better one.
Yeah, they have rights issues to get Venom into Infinity War. But
oh, son, let me tell you about copyright law. Sit down.
The great tale of the new millennium.
We have these monsters called corporate lawyers.
I think they eat people personally.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it's a reference to.
Corporate lawyers will eat your brain.
Was it Wolfram and Hart? Might have been Wolfram and Hart.
Hey. Okay,
yes.
So I'm back.
All right.
Everybody sit. Okay. Quick question.
Yes.
I don't know if this has been mentioned yet. Did anybody ever see the bootleg film The Journalist?
No. Definitely not.
No.
Okay, so you never saw the Venom film that it starred Ryan Kitwan, produced by Adi Shankar in his bootleg universe? That was a better Venom film than what we got.
Well, that wouldn't be that hard. Now I'm having a brain fart.
Language the kids use.
That was Smoke a Doobie, by the way, Phil.
I'm sorry.
Mixed up the references.
I'm sorry, I hit the wrong.
No, I was thinking about something else that was really bugging me about this, and I've forgotten it because there's so many things that did. It's like in general, I liked the film, but there were all these little things that just like when you're watching it. And then, like I said, you always have things in films that when you're watching them after the fact, you go, oh, wait, well, that didn't really make sense. And, Tristan, calm down.
Okay.
And the like. But, this was, this is one where, as I'm watching it, the testing protocols, here's one. Okay, this company no one explains why they were sending Eddie Brock, who is clearly like this. I like to expose rich guys for being evil.
Yeah.
To interview the rich evil guy. Like, who thought that? Like, they don't have one off-piece writer at this place.
He did have a handler at the actual interview, but he blew her off.
I just think that the film should have started with Eddie Brock getting wind of a space crash and going out there, and he basically it should have picked up with after the event at the Globe and him trying to remake a name for himself. He should have gotten the symbiote a lot sooner, so that we could have had time to actually see Venom as more of a villain. Yeah. And Eddie fighting against that nature, then to come to the conclusion of being more of the we only hurt the bad guys. that we get.
It would have made more sense too, because I mean, in his original origin, it's like Spider-Man proves a story wrong that he reported, and so that's why he comes to hate Spider-Man. So they kind of had the twist.
They make mention of it in passing. Of course, they can't get into the whole detail.
Yeah, but then they twist it around that he did the whole interview. He basically sabotaged himself there, and taking those records from his lawyer girlfriend. So it's like okay, you have no one to blame but yourself. Why are you so bad for this guy?
I heard this movie takes place outside of the regular MCU too. So
it's a Sony.
Yeah, no, but like so, Spider-Man is a Sony as well, and takes place in the MCU.
No, Spider-Man is a Sony co-produced. It's a co-production between Marvel Studios and Sony. This is straight up produced by Sony alone without MCU interference.
If you notice, Marvel Studios, it is in association with Marvel Studios.
It's in association with Marvel. There's a difference because it goes back to Avi Arad, who's had the Spider-Man rights and produced all the other Spider-Man movies, and with him wanting to produce a Venom, he's the one that forced Venom into Spider-Man 3. It was basically part of it was Marvel Studios would do Spider-Man, and then that would give Avi Arad more clout to push for his solo Venom film.
Yeah, well...
because if you look, Avi Arad has no name connection with Spider-Man right now. Because they've he's the one, go back to all the 2000s films, you'll start to find his name on all the production, and he's the one that they wanted to kind of keep their hands away from.
So, according to comicbook.com, Venom is the first Sony new film with characters from the Spider-Man comics, although it is a separate world from last year's Spider-Man Homecoming.
Yeah, because they're trying to start their own thing, right? Spider-Verse.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I told you, this is Sony's attempt to say, "Oh, we don't need you, Marvel. We're not Fox. We're not gonna bend over for you. We can do it ourselves."
This was a poor attempt.
Yeah. No kidding.
It's just.
Actually, I have forgot.
Okay, but one thing I will say, and this was actually what I was going to say. They did not pull any punches on making Eddie Brock an awful human being.
No.
And I really appreciated that. I mean, it annoyed me a bit because it was like, dude, how can you just steal your girlfriend's private papers? Like, this should be a relationship that has some value to you.
How did they find out?
Because he's a selfish SOB.
Well, maybe they were.
Only so many people.
Yeah, only so many people had that information, and then I guess you do a little Facebook research. It's like, oh, hey, this the lawyer working on this is Brock's girlfriend. I wonder how he got a hold of it.
Yeah, I mean, really, honestly, it was very clear the minute he does that all the fingers are going to point back to his girlfriend, and it was a really selfish and self-centered move on his part. Totally. And to me, that was like the truest note for the Eddie Brock character for me, because that is the whole false reporting that Peter Parker uncovers kind of story. Is that here he is showing that he has no journalistic ethics, he has no personal ethics. He's just trying to that even though he is officially a good guy, he's
an anti-hero.
But even in the comics, it wasn't that bad, because it's like, he reported someone was a serial killer when they weren't, but he didn't know that. It was a copycat who told him, "Oh yeah, I'm the serial killer." So he didn't purposely go out of his. So
but he didn't do his due diligence as a reporter either, though.
I know, but then he just wanted to blame Spider-Man when he caught the real guy.
Yeah, exactly. So,
but he still wasn't all bad. I mean, look at the chick that was the homeless chick. That was like his friend, and he gave her money and he talked to her, and he cared about the downtrodden.
What was this whole thing? He wanted to save the world, but he didn't care how he accomplished his goal. Yeah,
and that was, speaking of saving the world, the Venom face turn at the end seemed a little sudden to me. Like, I don't really feel like we got an evolution of why.
But they lampshaded it, so it's okay, Charlie.
Well, no, they had the symbiote drop that line too, where it says, you're a loser. Where I come from, I'm a loser too. So I decided I'll stay here, and we'll be great here together.
Yeah, I guess.
I'm not saying it's good, but that's the rationale they gave.
Well, and he also said that Eddie Brock was the one that helped change his mind. So,
because Eddie Brock was such a great guy.
Yeah, well, I guess maybe that is the argument, that because he does want to save people, even though he's selfish and monstrous in his own way. What are you doing? Oh, there you go. Here's our Spider-Verse crossover.
Hey, Venom! Spider-Man rocks! Hey,
That's right. Subscribe to our
Okay.
YouTube. You'll get a quick preview of Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah. Please stop stabbing.
Anyway.
So, Eddie Brock does the wrong thing for the right reasons, right?
Or the wrong things for the wrong reasons. Whatever.
And
That's how I prefer to look at it, because it's Eddie Brock. And it's Tom Hardy playing Eddie Brock.
I do want to say that this movie was not originally intended, no matter what they say, to be PG-13.
No, because just up until what?
Missing.
To what? Just like a couple. Yeah, just like a couple weeks ago, weren't they still juggling? Oh, are we going to do R? Are we going to do PG-13?
Because there's a couple parts where if you really pay attention, the lines are ADR. That the mouths are not lining up perfectly with what's being said.
Well, yeah, they cleaned up in that trailer. They used to say symbiote now they switched it to symbiote.
Yeah, was
I noticed that
because everyone was pissed. Like that's
everyone's like, that's how you pronounce it. That's how you pronounce that comic book word.
Yeah, but you know what? I was kind of like annoyed by that, because I was like, I thought we were okay with symbiote.
No, nobody was okay.
The internet was not.
First time we watched the film because of the internet.
I wouldn't have cared. But I would have preferred. Symbiote, whatever. I wish they would have made it rated R.
Yeah,
I think it would have been a better movie.
Well, I mean, Tom Hardy said that a lot of his favorite scenes are not on in the movie. They were cut, and Ruben Fleischer already said that he has his director's cut unrated. Prepared for home video.
Exactly.
Okay. So that's
right. Though I don't think an R rating would have saved this film. I don't think 40 more minutes.
But this was supposed to be a true body horror. That's how they started to develop this, and they just got kind of away from it.
Yeah,
it's like Daredevil, the 2002 or 3. It was made rated R, and they cut the shit out of it. Sorry, but if you go back and you watch the director's cut of Daredevil, you can see where there's a better movie in there. Because so much subplot and so much of it has been changed. It's the same thing here. I'm not saying it would have saved the movie. I'm not saying it would have come out Academy Award winner Venom. But they would have had a truer version of a story they started to tell.
So, along the lines of saving this movie, it doesn't need to be saved. It made $205 million worldwide box office.
It's not hard to do in October with no competition, though.
I would have rather gone and seen the Bradley Cooper.
A Star is Born.
Okay. I wanted to see it too. Like, I seriously almost was like, screw Venom.
It was my Sophie's choice of the month. I'll just put it to you that way.
Sophie.
Actually, the person that I took literally was like, I wish I would have took you to see A Star is Born. I think we both would have been a little more happy.
That's all I'll say there.
No.
That's all I'll say. But yeah, what was that line for the movie? You'll be a armless, legless turd rolling downhill.
See, okay, I told my friend when we saw the trailer for it together, because we were discussing this movie, the same friend I ended up going to see it with. I was like, man, I'm really thinking that in the actual movie he's going to say a POS. I'm like, I think they just edited that for the trailer because it sounds horrible. Then we get in the movie and guess what? They didn't edit it.
Yeah. Well, I knew that was going to be the last scene in the film, and it was.
Yeah.
You know.
I knew it was when they got to the part where they had set it up earlier, and they were having the debate about we eat the bad guys.
Well, yeah.
And then I was like, oh, so that's how they're going to end it.
Well,
okay.
Tyler, you'll appreciate this. It's like it's the poor version of Superman 2 when he gets beat up in the diner, and then at the end when he gets his powers back, he goes back and throws the guy down the counter. Yeah,
that's what I thought, and I was like, but that's what I thought. But anyways, I have to go, my friends, because
trope check.
I have to switch off with my wife and help her with the grass.
Okay. Stopping by, Ty. We always love it when you do.
Hey, it's just hard. Jania starts school this week. She left her job, and everything's crazy, and my time is hard. If it's past 9 o'clock, I'm good. But before 9 o'clock, things are tough. But it was good chatting. I wish I could talk more. I miss you all. Phil, you're a beautiful human being. Charlie, always the intelligent one. Lilith, I love your brave and just self-optimism of this is my opinion and this is how it is. And new girl I have not met, it was nice chatting with you.
Go listen to Biters. Watch Walking Dead tonight.
That's my girlfriend, Tyler. You watch yourself.
All right. I'll talk with everybody later.
That's the Real Housewife of Alaska.
All right. Bye.
Okay. Remember when everybody was theorizing that Life was the prequel to Venom? I agree. Life Foundation, movie Life. That's all the connection we need.
Nerd.
I'm fine with that. I still haven't seen Life, but I just think it is. You know,
I actually just saw Life. I hadn't heard that until I read an article today that said, no, it wasn't the prequel. And I'm like, really? Because it kind of seems like it would be.
Isn't that a Sony movie on top of that, too? I feel like no matter what anybody says, that's my headcanon and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah.
Makes it for a better story.
Ryan Reynolds as John Jameson.
I'm saying it writes itself.
Reality is what we make it.
Yeah.
Yes. Just ask anybody that believes the Mandela effect.
Just ask the people drinking right now. Heavily drinking right now.
Not heavily, it's only champagne.
Mine's grape juice. I mean, fermented grape juice, but...
I'm sorry, I just have to say this. I don't think Tom Hardy delivered a good performance. It was very ho-hum and bland. Like, wow.
It's not his shtick. Have you seen him in, like, Taboo? And
I've seen him in almost everything, unfortunately.
Yeah,
I have a friend that was Tom Hardy.
They should have put a face mask on him so you could barely understand him. Oh, hello.
You know what? I feel like he either Shia LaBeouf's his clone or he's a clone of Shia LaBeouf. Like, what are the two?
What?
No one knows what it means, but it's provocative.
Explain that. Wait, explain that again.
They look alike, and they're both terrible actors that I can't stand. So it must be true.
I guess if they both have facial hair, they kind of look alike.
Mm-hmm.
Nerd.
I don't know.
I mean, they did play brothers in that one movie. I do.
Okay, well that's fine. I mean, I actually think that it was interesting because I saw him in another piece where he's a very different character, and I kind of feel he's kind of like an Edward Norton kind of guy where he just he loses himself in who he becomes to his own detriment.
So Eddie Brock was meant to be bland?
Yeah, well, he's supposed to be a loser.
Yeah, he's supposed to be loser. Every guy loser.
Yeah, he's supposed to be the guy who didn't do a good job and who self-sabotages and is also a selfish jerk. You know,
I love of a loser. I mean, I like Sheldon.
Yeah.
She talked to us.
Yeah.
More like you guys talk to me. It's okay.
Oh, sorry, Queen. Sorry, Queen.
You allow us to talk to you.
Anyway, but yeah, I would have liked to have more backstory on Venom. I would have liked to have a lot. You know, and as much as I say I think Venom talks too much, just because I did not like the way this Venom was. Like, I don't think Venom should have that much of a human personality.
I loved it.
Venom should be more alien, and they really kind of threw out the whole idea that the symbiotes were aliens. You know, they kind of made them very human, and I disliked that. I think that the symbiotes, because they are a creature that theoretically, like I said, is a nonverbal creature. It lives as this, ooze that takes over other creatures. Their society and their structure should be not. Basically, it shouldn't be that easy for them to talk and for them to be quippy, or even do like. I mean, the only thing that I might say is I wonder if maybe you're hearing Venom talking. Maybe it's all just in Eddie Brock's head, and Eddie Brock is actually just crazy, and everything that he thinks the Venom symbiote is saying, it's actually all just him. He's just having auditory hallucinations, as I say.
Oh, he does have a parasite, technically.
How many times are you going to use that line?
Actually, yes. Actually, there is a difference between a symbiote and a parasite. A parasite feeds off of its host. A symbiote gives nutrition to its host. So basically,
when they were saying that he was a parasite, so I'm just saying.
No, well, I mean,
he can be
at that particular time.
He can be either. He can feed off of his host. He chooses not to.
But he's a nice symbiote.
Well, yeah, isn't that the definition of symbiote? Is like it both parts.
It's reciprocal.
Floors, yeah. I put a parasite, just drains whatever it attaches to. Yeah.
There's reciprocity.
But yeah, I just took me out of the movie every time like the symbiote did something, and Eddie Brock was like, if it was attacking people, like, oh, sorry, instead of like comic book Eddie where he embraced it the whole time and said.
My least favorite scene is when he calls him the P word. That's so unnecessary in 2018.
Yeah, and also, why is, again, for an asexual...
Wrong. They birth babies. I'm just saying. You should say ball sack if that's what you mean. No, but not for nothing, for a genderless, asexual species... Why is that even an insult?
He's in Eddie's head, so I'm thinking he's seeing. It's a loose translation. He's saying, "Okay, what can I call this guy?" Oh, okay.
So my theory was, the longer he's with Eddie, the longer he's in Eddie, the more he understands human idioms and feelings and things like that. I think they kind of become a part of each other rather than two separate things inhabiting one body.
Well, along those same lines, that's actually sort of the theory I've kind of created for why Venom does that sudden face turn at the end, is that because he's bonded with a human being, it's actually affecting Venom, so that Venom is actually becoming more humane because he is bonded with a human, which is why. Not for nothing. I'm guessing.
Parasites.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Why?
Riot didn't. Yeah, because he kept jumping from host to host, and all of his hosts the astronaut was dying, and then the paramedic was injured and dying, and then the
lady was
old lady. Yeah, and then the little girl who was probably terrified. So he just kept jumping from one terrible host to the other, whereas Venom bonded with Tom Hardy in the beginning, and he had more time to be with the same human.
Yeah, well, actually, what I was going to say is I think that Riot, at least with the last one, certainly he bonded with a sociopath. So that's why Riot was more comfortable with that. So they're not going to have that pesky humanity feeling when you're with a sociopath. And of course, I think the other person that he kept the longest, the little girl. Most 8-year-olds are sociopaths. I think we can all agree to that.
He's standing right there, Charlie.
It's teenagers that are sociopaths.
Charlie,
the brain is undeveloped.
Charlie, he's right behind you.
He's not a sociopath.
Just because your son's in a Jason mask.
Yeah. So, no, I mean, getting beyond just the fact that, their names are Venom and Riot, and it's just a weird thing. Now, here's a weird question along those same lines. Since we have the after credit or the mid credit scene where, Cassidy calls out the name Carnage, do you think that he's already infected? And do you think that maybe that's why he requested Eddie Brock?
He could already be infected, because didn't they say earlier in the movie that one of the specimens was missing? They found all but one from the crash.
That was right.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the one that took over John Jameson.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. But then again, we don't know what Riot's been up to.
And yeah, but
I have another thing.
unless
Yeah,
unless Venom's dropping something there in that scene.
I like the theory when they bonded, they created something. I mean, it was in the over the water. I mean, the prison that he's at is very near the water. I think is that kind of implication, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. What do you stop?
Okay. Well, I really want to say that. Can you stop putting the camera close to me?
Well, okay. Sorry. Try to frame your shot right. Okay.
Well, I think that Cassidy, when he sees Venom, like when Eddie Brock turns into Venom, because Venom wants to eat Cassidy's brain, then Cassidy turns to Carnage, and then they just battle for like probably like for 30 minutes, mostly like half an hour.
Okay.
And then Carnage just like for a purpose.
Yeah. So, but what I will say is that, when you do get that Riot Venom fight, and it is, all that symbiote goop merging and mixing around and whatnot in the air, I mean...
just don't care.
I'm just saying, maybe a little magic happened, and a little bit of
asexual reproduction.
Yeah, well, hey, even asexual
reproduction, romantic reproduction
can exchange biomatter. I was actually waiting for something about, because of course Riot leaves the sword in
Venom.
Venom. Yeah. In Eddie, yeah. Leaves the sword in Eddie, and I was waiting for that to be an issue. That there's a bit of the symbiote that's still a part of him.
I'm sorry, but Eddie is dead, and he is officially a meat puppet. I don't care what anybody says after that one. He was dead when that symbiote climbed in. He is a straight-up skin condom. I'm sorry.
Well, here was another thing that kind of bugged me in this is, remember that scene in the first Superman where Superman basically just tells Lois Lane all of his weaknesses?
Yeah.
And then them in the Daily Planet?
Fire! And fire!
I know. Hey, tell your ex-girlfriend, fire and Sonics, yes.
Yes, these are the things that really hurt me. And it's like, why are you telling the humans this? It was, although I guess maybe that goes to that idea that Venom is a loser on his planet.
Dad,
what?
Did you put it?
Yeah, just put it there.
In the fruit by the foot?
Yes, okay.
I thought that was just like a poor, they were just dumping the exposition because people don't read the comics might be like, why is the MRI making him freak out like that?
Also, his ex-girlfriend literally drives him from plot point to plot point. Like, whatever. What else?
Yeah.
You're a bad boy. You killed all those policemen. Get in the car. Because the other would happen.
But get in the back. You don't deserve shotgun.
And then, okay, the thing that made me squick out so bad was the She-Venom kiss.
Yes!
Oh! It was, I'm like, no, that's not a time that,
Hey!
No, it's all wrong.
Imagine.
She's talking. Let her talk.
Sorry.
It was the symbiote's idea.
Yes, anyway.
And that makes it even creepier. Like, Venom wanted to kiss Eddie?
I don't know. He's still learning how gendered beings interact. I mean, so maybe it's just like, I know that the gendered beings often greet each other by mushing their food holes together.
Can we just talk about Anne's being the poor man's Gwen Stacy? Like, down to the haircut and the bangs. Like, I just cannot with Anne.
Is it a character from the comic?
They were going for it.
Yeah, they introduced her a while after he had become Venom. They're like, oh, yeah, that's the ex-wife, yada, yada, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I don't know.
That Gwen Stacy.
Yeah.
I can hear Lilith.
She dies after she becomes Lady Venom. I'm just saying.
Gwen Stacy. I can hear you in the theater. Throw her off a bridge!
I was like, ooh, I thought after she ate the guy's head, she was going to kill herself like in the comics. And I was like, oh, they're not going to do it. It's PG-13. Never mind.
You'll have to wait for the DVD for that one.
Or the sequel.
Do you think we're getting a sequel?
It made enough money, I guess. But they better up that CGI. That CGI was atrocious.
You know they want it. You know, want a sequel. You know,
it was so bad.
That
like,
mid-credit,
especially the nighttime.
That mid-credit scene with Ronald McDonald. You know they want a sequel.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's very likely they'll get a sequel if they don't sell the whole kit and caboodle back to Marvel.
And then we'll get a rebooted sequel with all different people retelling the backstory in a slightly different way in 3 years. In 3 years.
They're going to see that the unrated DVD does so well and make the sequel rated R. And this is going to be the only good thing Sony does besides a PlayStation. That's my prediction.
Yes.
Well, what year does Marvel take place in?
It takes place in the current era.
Time scale.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's always the current era.
Time isn't real.
That I refuse to acknowledge.
Time isn't real. Like, it's like 2 o'clock my time, it's 6 o'clock your time, any time is good time for drinking.
And we're going to lose an hour of daylight pretty soon?
Time isn't real.
Oh, like you two love daylight so much.
Well, Lilith lives in Florida and Cassie lives in Alaska. One of them has much more of an affinity for the sun.
I think actually it might be the person in Alaska because they get like a lot of sun for like way too much sun for too few days.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Constantly bombarded.
I have blackout curtains and I don't go outside in the summer months.
Hey, me too.
No, see, twinsies.
Okay. Seriously, I give this movie a C+ because it could have been so much worse under the Sony umbrella.
Wow, I'm surprised you went that high.
Yeah, I'm gonna, I'm gonna give it a gentleman's B-, which is, it is. Like I say, if we take the David Banner principle that it's okay if things don't make sense. You know what? No, I'm not even going to give it. I'm going to give it actually just a solid C. It was. I can deal with everything that they screwed up. I couldn't deal with the bad science and bad scientists.
Mustard gas.
That's what really bugged me. It's like there should have been some statement about running. Here's why the bunny's genome worked, and there should have been some things like, well, no, because we can't just throw this thing on human beings, because not for nothing, that winds up killing the blue one. That's when he decides to punish the doctor by having the blue one go on her. It eventually winds up killing the blue one because no one's paying attention when it crawls out of her. So no one puts it back in its special box. And, so really, it's just bad science. It's like you have these things, you should be watching them, taking care of them, being mindful of what they need to do to survive.
He's a gazillionaire. You'd think he'd be able to come up with some sort of thing that a containment system where if the human host dies, the room automatically floods whatever the chemical that the symbiote needs. I agree with that. I agree with the bad science.
Yes.
Bill?
Yes?
I'm just looking at a sound keyboard looking for right sounds to press whenever someone speaks.
He figured it out!
No!
Wrong.
Maybe.
For us, actually.
Wrong.
Yeah.
I need a Braille one, yeah.
Anyway, no, but yeah, so I give it a C. It's not the worst film I've ever seen, but it has just so many holes as far as why things happen, and holes that bug you when you're watching. I don't mind a hole that later on I see, but when I'm watching
I saw that, Phil.
What?
I saw that.
I need a drop.
You need something on your soundboard for that.
I give it a B.
Oh wait, Tristan, what's your grade?
I give it a B+.
Oh, okay.
Because it is good, but it just messes with a current timeline. I know it's not in the Spider-Man timeline, but
look at them.
It still messes up the movie.
Okay, so you give it a B. So you really enjoy it.
Also, I'm eating frozen blueberries.
Okay, so would you want to see Venom Part 2 Electric Boogaloo, Tristan?
Sure.
Okay.
As long as Spider-Man's in there.
Oh, we can't guarantee Spider-Man will be in it, though.
I mean, there's like big movies like in Halloween 3. Remember when Halloween 1 was just a movie? They could just make Spider-Man a movie.
Oh, so the basically you have Spider-Man because they all go see the Spider-Man film.
Maybe we'll get Spider-Man, but it'll be Miles Morales or something.
I would kill for that.
Spider-Pig. It'll be Spider-Pig.
Spider-Ham.
Spider-Ham. He's not a Spider-Pig.
This Spider-Ham, so it'll be Spider-Pig.
This Spider-Ham actually
Yes, he does.
Never mind.
Spider-Ham's a cannibal. He eats bacon.
Well, as Peter,
it's delicious.
As Peter Porker, the Spectacular Spider-Ham said, clearly on this planet, pigs are not sentient. It is not cannibalism. I am a sentient pig. These are non-sentient pigs. And they are delicious.
Hell, if people in Florida tasted like bacon, little neighbors would be in trouble.
Too bad they all just taste like jive turkey.
They're mostly non-sentient pigs eat. Way more.
You don't want to know what they really eat. I've been on a pig farm.
Pigs eat whatever is available.
You don't want to see how the sausage is made. Trust me.
All right, our guest Marnell, what letter grade do you give this movie?
So, coming as the non-comic book person, I gave it a B. I really liked the movie. I loved Venom as a character in itself. I love Sassy Venom. I think that he needs to be added to the Fab Five, and he needs his own show. Or like he and Brock could have a buddy cop movie. I loved it because I wasn't a fan of the comic books. I've never read the comic books. So for me, the movie was entertaining. It was funny. There was fight scenes and crashes. I just think it should have been rated R. And, like, for instance, we didn't get the gore of him biting people's heads off and stuff. And I think that's something that you needed with a movie like this.
Especially when it's released in October. Come on!
Yeah.
Right?
I swear when they were promoting this movie, I swear they were like superhero horror movie. Hey,
yeah,
October. Yeah,
and I actually stopped seeing horror movies in the theater because they have made them all PG-13, and it forces us to go buy the DVD for the director's cut and the rated R version or the unrated version. I absolutely hate that ploy. So, and also I had a really bad experience with a whole bunch of little kids who were not into the movie in the theater with us. And so I'm cranky that it's not rated R and my movie going experience was ruined.
Oh yeah, she should have heard the language she was using before we started recording.
Man. Yeah. I wish I could drink in my theater. I should have drank before I went.
Yes. Cassie, Tristan has a question for you.
Oh, no.
Actually, if you don't read comic books, I thought this was for comic book nerds.
No, it's for all kinds of nerds, Tristan.
It's the movie club.
She's another nerd.
It's a movie club.
Exactly. All nerds are welcome.
Enough sound. Give us your opinion.
All right. Well, I guess I will go with you and the Esper Man. I'm going to give it a straight C because I was bored through most of this movie. And
somebody fell asleep in my theater. Actually, no joke.
What was it like? Was it like an hour and 52 minutes? And like seemed. I mean, for most of it seemed longer than like an 2.5 hour MCU movie to me.
Yeah,
it took like 51 minutes for them to get to like actual stuff that wasn't just like Eddie Brock though.
I agree with that. It took too long to get there.
Yeah, to get them in the suit and full Venom. Yeah, it took.
Yeah.
Did
everybody get the comic book that came with the ticket?
No.
Yes, she got her comic book.
Oh yeah, hold on. I'll show it in a second.
Wait, where is it? Oh, we left in the car.
No, I brought it in, I think.
Cat,
Why did everybody else get a comic book?
Yeah!
My theater doesn't give anything out, man.
Me and Tristan got a comic book. I don't know where we put it right now. I think it might be with Ben's belts.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
What?
My theater don't give out. Crap.
I thought it was a poster, which is the only reason why I got it. I was like, oh, it's a comic book. Okay.
You could have read it while you were bored in the movie.
Yeah.
Really rude. I was already in my post looking for something, and I was like, oh, right, middle of the movie.
it actually is, scenes from the movie in the comic book. So
Yeah.
there's no help for you there.
Oh, okay.
Lilith made out through half this movie.
I wish. Would have made it for a better time.
You know what? The thing that really bugged me the most about this.
Talk about this movie. Turns out there's nothing to talk about.
Well, you know, one thing I'll say is, I was thinking while I was watching this how much I really wished there were things in there that we didn't get, like certain post-credit scenes. Like I really wanted something with, you know, Private First Class Thompson, you know, being given a symbiote. You know, like we have something for you, Private Thompson. This might be a thing for you. You know,
there was an Easter egg that I loved in it though, and Phil knows why it's funny. In his apartment during the fight scene where they first come to get him, there are dumbbells.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, explain the reference.
The first couple appearances when Venom first appeared, and he was just like, "Oh, I got to kill Spider-Man." Every issue he started, he was working out with weights every time.
Oh, that's a beach though. We got water, but they didn't get the beach.
But comic book nerds, did you see when he was looking for a job? He was
Pushkin.
he was texting with Barney Bushkin. Yeah. Editor of the Daily Globe. Yes.
I was actually waiting for him to be actually a volunteer in the Venom. That he was going to get so desperate that he just volunteers for the medical testing. You know.
Oh, remember in the movie where what's the guy's name that always does the appearances in movies?
Oh, Stan Lee.
and Venom said, "Who is this guy? Hey, his brains look delicious."
Yes. Yes. Stan Lee's brains do look delicious.
How does your child not know who Tristan, how are you allowed to live in that house and you don't know Stan Lee's name?
Brain farts are fine.
Yeah, you know what? He knows who he is. He just, honestly, he's just that guy who's always in the movies.
I thought that was on the sheet he gets when he wakes up every morning. Stan Lee is number one.
No.
Two E's in the middle.
Yeah. He forgets old people, so he's going to forget me eventually. No, for him, I mean, Stan Lee is basically just the Larry Bud Melman of movies.
Actually, he also shows up in the TV.
And I'm the only one who knows who Larry Bud Melman is.
Yep. There's Charlie making his old man references.
Yeah.
I've heard the name, but I couldn't tell you where it's from.
Larry Bud Melman is a very old actor who started on the late...
Is he alive?
No, actually passed away recently.
Oh.
Not recently. He passed away sometime. But he was... if you ever remember in the 90s when you guys were kids... and you'd see this old guy with these big black glasses, and he and he had kind of very loose lips when he talked, and he was that was Larry Bud Melman. He was a recurring character on David Letterman's Late Night.
Okay, yeah, okay.
So that was Larry Bud Melman. So he was a guy who would just show up in things, and he was in like Bud Light commercials and things like that. Larry Bud Melman. And
do you drink Bud like that?
No, I do not drink Bud Light.
Light? Are you kidding, son? Light?
Actually, Lilith, if you Google imaged him, you would know him. He's right up there in pop culture.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's his actual name, you youngins. Those of us who were old enough to actually form permanent memories at that time in our lives.
But he died in 1998, so.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
I thought when you get
Sadly.
older, you start forgetting.
No, but when you're very young, you don't remember things, and then there's a period where you start to form your memories, and then it all goes downhill at the end. I'm not a fancy man.
Then you just start blocking stuff out.
Yeah.
So it's like a baby climbing up a hill for
and then rolling down like a turd.
Yep.
And that's how we get the podcast.
And Armless, legless,
Then when he's 60, he rolls down the hill and forgets stuff again.
Yeah, basically.
And doesn't know what's the meaning
You're
of
getting
life.
blueberries all over yourself, Tristan.
I'm not.
You are.
Not your first birthday and your last birthday are a lot alike. You don't know what's going on. You don't know any of the people.
You're drooling in diapers.
You need help blowing out the candles.
And people gather all your friends and say, "These are your friends."
Favorite joke ever.
Who are you? Who are you people? Who are you?
So, I feel like we would have been better off discussing Big Bang Theory for episode 73, but here it is, Venom. It's fine.
Okay. I'm just excited about the 3 Harley storyline.
Are you writing it? I say you write it and send it off. And you make your simulations for the actresses you want.
Oh yes, because Kaley Cuoco is now going to be Harley Quinn in the animated series. Yes.
You know, it's nothing like having a good old contract with Warner Brothers. Sometimes it works out for some people.
Pays the bills.
Well, you know, I'll say this: DCU is actually it's trying to pulling me in. That Harley thing could pull me in. I'm saying, Teen Titans less so. But
well, it's Titans, not Teen Titans, because they're 50 years old.
Robin is an old man. He's got the gray temples, like. Oh gosh.
Is he still athletic?
Yeah, he's still very athletic.
Oh, I thought you meant that he was so old.
Well, he's an adult. He's a detective now. Detective Dick Grayson.
Not an insurance salesman like Charlie originally thought.
Like a lot of people thought, dude. Seriously.
Really?
Well, actually, yeah, he's supposed to become Nightwing, but he's not. He's still Robin. He's still Robin, that's right, not Nightwing?
In the beginning, yeah. So I bet you see it. But they're bringing in Jason Todd, so I'm assuming he's going to be Nightwing by the end.
He's going to be, plot twist, he's going to be the one to beat him to death with a crowbar, because they can't stand each other. Oh, spoilers? I'm sorry.
Speaking of Lilith, did you read Nightwing and the whole thing that's going on there?
No.
No.
Is Tim Seeley writing it again? Did I miss that memo?
No.
Did I stutter when I said I wasn't going to read it?
He got shot in the head, lost most of his memory, now he's a drinker. He basically got shot.
Not another amnesia story.
I know. I said they better reverse Jersey Shore Nightwing pretty quick. But he basically gets shot in the head, and then he's become Lilith Hellfire. He's drinking, he's
alcohol
gambling.
makes some things better. There was alcohol at my theater. Let me just be clear.
Alcohol makes a lot of things better.
There's my drop.
Okay, what do you want to say with alcohol, Tristan?
I don't know.
I got that me drink once.
This is going to the effects of alcohol. You know, so it's.
Well, I did have the non-alcoholic beer.
You did have a sip of non-alcoholic
juice.
O'Toole's is nasty.
That's stinking apple juice on the couch.
Oh, lost everyone.
Phil, rein it in. Come on, Gelman. You're killing me.
Lilith will fix it, because Lilith fixes everything.
All right, are we done?
Yes.
No.
What do you have to say? We're done. Okay, we're done, Tristan.
No.
Right. Give your social media, Tristan. Where can people find you?
Fried grenade.
Okay. His social media is Fried Grenade. Tristan, eat those blueberries at the counter now.
No. Bye.
Okay, thank you.
Grenade.
All right.
Anyway.
Toxic Gamer 13 on YouTube.
Don't forget the 13. Very important in the handle.
I don't like it when you say my name because I never show my face in any of my videos.
Oh, you see.
You're anonymous.
Woo!
What's everyone to think he's 27 on there on YouTube?
He's social media savvy.
Yeah, man.
He's a showman like his father. Look right at the camera while you're saying that, son.
Me as a parent.
What are you gonna do?
You gotta get famous for daddy. Come on. All right. thank you for joining us, Marnell. Where can people hear your thoughts on Walking Dead, which comes back tonight? And
it does. Season premiere Walking Dead tonight. Di and I will be podcasting this week with special guest star Thomas O'Mara, friend of the pod, super fan. You can find us on Facebook.com/Biters. On Twitter, we're Biters. And you can go to Southgate Media Group and help support Southgate Media Group. Go to their Patreon or find a couple of the other podcasts that they like. And you can see me on the Movie Club with Phil.
Oh, yes, all right. Capes and Lunatics YouTube.
And then Phil comes on our show, too. So.
Yeah, me and your sister were talking about you last episode, yeah.
I know. I was so right, and you guys were so wrong.
Hey, Dad.
I hope did you say you listened to the whole episode so that your boss didn't send you with too many kilos across the border?
I actually couldn't even take Epsom salt in my luggage because I didn't want to crystallize white powder in my luggage. So no, nothing was smuggled in my prison pocket. Thanks, Phil.
I gotcha.
Yeah, we got Moz on the show. All right. Force of Nature, Lilith Hellfire, where can people fight you?
All right, this is not a drill, people. Arrowverse is back starting this week, Tuesday, with The Flash. I will be smart tweeting / hate watching, so follow me at Lilith Hellfire. If you want positivity from me, at Save Me Pod. That's Superman, Smallville, and swearing. Save Me Pod, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest.
That's right. And then Tuesday night after The Flash, we're going live on YouTube.
And that will be fully loaded. You've been warned.
Nice. All right. And Showman, Charlie Esser, where can people find you? I'm ready on the button.
You can always write to me in that old-fashioned email way, the way our Moz and Paz once did, at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, at gmail.com. And of course, follow me on the Twitter as I live tweet Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Cloak and Dagger, Gone, and many other shows at Charlie Esser. That's CharlieEsser. Look for the 2 E's in the middle.
For quality.
Yeah, Moz. All right, everyone. And send us your thoughts. What did you think of this turd rolling downhill? Write to us, capesandlunatics at gmail.com. Facebook.com/capesandlunatics. At CapesLunatics on Twitter. We're on the gram, Capes and Lunatics. With all the cool people like Charlie Esser. We're on the gram. And the voicemail, 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES.
Okay, well, that's all, folks. Oh, wait, is this a grenade?
I couldn't say better myself. I am. All right, let's do this. For another week, we have been the Capes,
Ampersand,
the Lunatics,
and a drunk housewife.
Yay.
I'm not drunk yet. This is just what I do to maintain my alcohol blood level.
This is what I just do to maintain consciousness. Oh, my Lord. You two were separated at birth. Oh, Lord.
You can't see it, but I actually have an intravenous tube hooked up also. I told you, I have a tiny heart and no soul, so I have plenty of room for alcohol.
Lilith, is that you?
I have a heart. It's just 2 times too small. That's it.
Oh, yeah, I have a heart. Yeah, it's just tiny.
This has been scarier than Venom.